Breakfast with Stephen and Anne on your TV and on your radio. Crackers, the number of people getting in touch this morning. So many of you. Thank you so much. Phil in Northumberland says, I'm a Tory member. Sunak will get no vote from me. Simon says, are we seriously considering Rishi for PM? So loyal to the UK, had an American green card all lined up, lied about his spouse's tax position, and then U-turned and owned up. And Abraham says the only true Conservative is Jacob Rees-Mogg. He should run. They're not going to, but...
No, he's not. Well, I don't think so, no. And lovely names. Sean says, our surname is Askew, pronounced Askew. And my younger brother is called Ian, so if he puts his I, and then his name, in other words, if he spells it out, it's I ask you. Alan says, years ago when I was working for the Liverpool Daily Post, I recall a report about someone called Handel Turner. And one of my mates suggested he must be a right crank. Oh, sorry, this is getting worse, isn't it? And Dawn in Leicester says, we knew a family called O'Shea, and they called their son Richard, which was shortened to Rick, so he was known as Ricochet. Yeah. Do you think these are true?
Well, Roland on Twitter has put, after you mentioning, he knows a cinema manager called Just In Case.
Oh, yeah, actually, yes.
Yeah. I went out with a guy called Windy, and he was dreadful.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will have gathered by now we've been joined by Pete Price and Dawn Neeson, or Maureen Neeson. Dawn was saying in the last hour that her mum wanted to call her Maureen. Oh, I think it's a lovely name. My best friend at school was called Maureen.
It's a lovely name.
And it reminds me of Saureen, which is, and who doesn't like a slice of saurine?
Yeah, that's a...
What's saurine?
It's that malt loaf, yeah.
Did they still make it? I used to like it. I
remember, yes. In the, yes, solid.
Very solid, sticky.
Yeah.
Solid and fruity.
There you go.
That's Maureen.
Through and through.
Yeah.
Already.
So what we started with, you're going to have to slap on a bit of sun cream
Back to 30.
down this end of the country,
absolutely.
anyway.
If you don't want your politics, all the papers are offering the choice of weather this morning. So this is the Daily Mail I've shown, pictured here, because I've got a picture of Wimbledon Common in London, and it looks like the Sahara Desert. That's the main point. However, the story is it's a level 3 health alert in the southeast, and it's stay in, wear a hat, factor 30, don't drink too much, don't do this, don't do that. Can't we just enjoy the sunshine? Honestly, you read this and it is like there's a new pandemic on the way. Go out, you're going to die, basically.
It's not 75 degrees.
It's what I know.
And it's not as if it's consistent, is it? I mean, it's in Australia, they have to put out these health warnings all the time because they are consistently getting lots and lots of sunshine and an awful lot of heat.
Yeah.
And they get it all through their summer. But we get it for a week if you're lucky.
It's a couple of days. And it's like this bit in particular I found quite annoying, to be honest with you. People are being urged to look out for others, especially older people, young children and babies, and those with underlying health conditions. What are you meant to do?
Yeah.
But it's hot and it's sunny, and you're walking down the street with your bottle of water, obviously not a bottle of beer, and there's a child playing. How am I meant to look out for this child? What are you meant to do? Put a hat on it? Smother it in cream? I mean, the health...
No, you get done for assaults then.
Why?
Or patronise an old person.
My story follows on. This is going even more ridiculous. Don't shower, save water for the tourists. The Devon and Cornwall residents, the tourists, yes. The Devon and Cornwall residents have been urged to cut showering time to ensure there's enough water for the visitors, because more people are living down there now. This is the best. It's been very dry over the last 12 months, and while the reservoirs are fantastic, the levels, there's a few dry spells on the way. It's gone mad. So, and mind you, there's a lot of people out there that don't shower and bath, which you'll use this as an excuse.
Please don't use that.
Don't like it. Yeah. But honestly, it's gone ridiculous. More people are coming down on holiday, and more people are living down there, so water levels are going, but the reservoirs are full. What? Where do they get? It's a half-page story.
By the sea, aren't they?
By the sea. Yes.
Go and get in the sea.
Don't wash in the sea. Take a bar of soap. Scrub yourself down. Some dirty people don't wash.
It's just a state, isn't it? I mean, during the pandemic, where you had footprints on the pavement telling you how to walk down the road. I mean, how did we ever get to this position?
Yeah, I know.
A few sunny days and everything is like a health warning and nannying how to get through it.
Growing up,
We're a long way away from standpipes on the street, aren't
Yes,
we?
we are.
but growing up, I never ever remember ever warnings about summer, ever. And then of course we get winter, then we've got all the ice and stuff. We always go overboard on everything.
Well, anything to do with the weather, particularly. What about sex education? We could get worked up about that as well, couldn't we, Dawn?
Actually, yeah, I mean, I'm being serious for once. This is actually a really annoying story. This is in the Times, and it's sex work is rewarding, pupils are told. This is headline on this story. And basically, it's basically Rachel D'Souza, the Children's Commissioner, has revealed that she is now going to review sex education in schools after learning some of the horrific things children are being taught in the name of inclusivity. Now, one of these is a 9-year-old, a parent was telling the story, a 9-year-old child came home shaking and white as a sheet because they had been taught in detail about rape. Now, it's a 9-year-old child. Why does a 9-year-old child need that in their head?
No, they don't.
And who is that inclusive of exactly? Rapists? I mean, it's just completely wrong. But the other thing...
It's just inappropriate, that, isn't
Of
it?
course it is, Anna. And you know, people are saying, well, this is basically child abuse, telling you. And there are others where children are being asked to demonstrate how they touch themselves sexually.
Oh.
I mean, hello, this is...
Really?
Yeah, really wrong. But the one thing that really annoyed me, I mean, sort of like when I was a magazine journalist a long time ago, I did a huge piece on prostitution. And I spent a lot of time interviewing prostitutes, basically, both here and abroad. And most of them were not happy. It was just an awful situation they found themselves in. Look, if you want to do it for a living and you're happy doing it and no one's forcing you, absolutely fine, don't problem it. However, providers of sex education in school are teaching children that prostitution is a rewarding job.
How can they say it's a job when it's illegal?
It's not actually illegal to be a prostitute.
Well,
It's illegal to use one, which is... the
Dawn, I agree with every single thing you say about that. Everything.
first?
Yeah, absolutely. But, and there is a but, kids can go on their phone and find rape, abuse and everything. So in a way, and I'm not saying an age, but in a way, should they be taught something so that they don't pick up what you find on social media?
But we're not talking about teenagers here.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said an age.
Small children.
Yeah. But there are 9-year-old and 10-year-old children with 25-year-old brains in them on telephones, finding the most and putting in simple words, a simple word that leads you to abuse.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying we shouldn't teach sex education in school.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about some of the sex education that is being taught.
Totally agree with you.
Prostitution is not a great career choice, really.
no.
No, you can imagine some educators, and I don't necessarily mean teachers there, I mean somebody who's writing an agenda of some sort, thinking we must talk about this responsibly, inclusively, and then finding that actually what they're doing, or maybe not aware that what they're doing is promoting something almost.
You know, I never ever had sex education at my school. Ever. We had religious instructions, and Mr. Boyd always turned it round to sex education. That was the nearest we got to sex education, where he'd use that because he believed that we should do that.
Did you have sex education?
No, I don't think
I
so.
didn't.
I don't think...
Did you? No?
We had basic biology, but I mean, the actual...
No, we just dealt with stamens and flowers and pollen.
Oh, we just had bumps and burners.
Yeah, exactly. We never did anything human at all. Never learned about that. Somewhere along the line, it did. You know, you made up your own. You found out yourself, didn't you?
But is that right or wrong, do you think? That we didn't have? Have we turned out bad because of it?
Terrible.
How long have
You
we
just
got on
got
this?
married!
I don't know. One of my friends had a nanny, and we used to ask her for words to look up. That's the nearest we got.
Right.
But she was quite careful in the words she gave us, and then you go. I mean, again, social media now. You'd only type in that word, wouldn't you? And you'd get bombarded.
Yeah.
We had to go to a library and find a dictionary to look up the words that she
Do you
gave
remember,
us.
do you remember getting the dictionaries and looking to see if there's any rude words in it?
Yeah.
Just remember.
But that's so tame compared to what, as you said quite rightly, compared to what young people now are bombarded with
It is,
from tablets and laptops and phones.
What about being bombarded by stuff from... I guess it says these chubby geeks. You mean Chubby Brown?
Chubby Brown, it is, yeah. 59 people protested and wanted the gig axed. 3,000 people complained they wanted the gig back.
Now you'll have to educate me.
Right, Chubby Brown is a very, very blue comic, huge comic, as in made a great deal of money over the years. Now
he has a reputation for being quite racist.
Oh, it's dreadful in every single way, but a lot of people, sadly, love comedy. If he was a left-wing comic, none of this would be in the papers.
No.
You know, that's what makes me cross. Yes, he's old school comedy. I've been a comic for 50 years. I've crossed the line a few times without any shadow of a doubt. I hold my hands up to that, and a lot of the old comics have. But the left-wing comics can get away with it in the name of, hey, I'm a lefty, and I'm in a small room doing 20 minutes. We had to do an hour to get paid in our day. Chubby is not my cup of tea. I love him as a man. He's a mate, but not my cup of tea. He's very, very rude, racist, everything, but it was a different world. But, you know, not just him. Let's get the left-wing comics out.
Well, or let them all in.
Well,
It's a one rule
I
rule.
mean, you know, Ricky Gervais always says that comedy, it should be, you should be able to talk about anything and everything. Nothing is out.
Because otherwise, where do you draw the line?
Well, exactly.
But love or hate Jim Davison, I went to see him recently, and Full House, love or hate him, and Jim's a mate of mine from the old school, and he works incredibly cleverly now because he's saying, this is what I can't say, blah, 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 and here's something else I can't say, and he's making a point, and an awful lot of people go and see him, or army troops with their wives and everything, because he did so much for the troops. Where's he going to stop and start? Yes, we don't want racists, but you know,
He's very, very clever in the way he
doing
tells
it,
it.
yeah.
He's very witty, and you go and see him,
I mean-
and you end up laughing so much your jaws ache.
The thing is, who sets the limits? Who is going to?
Well, that's it. There's no way you
is
can.
acceptable. And none of us have the right to do that.
When I started, I worked very gay on stage, because that was my way of selling who I was and promoting that I was a gay man and I wanted to do it.
Guy,
Shut
He
up.
kept it quiet, didn't he?
Shut.
never about that.
I nearly did my opening gag then. Now I just realised I wouldn't.
No.
That's not it. We've been talking about funny, as you know, strange names, Maureen. We've talked about this
Thank you.
before.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, God, I don't do that.
Chubby Brown, his real name is Royston Vasey.
Oh
Wow.
No.
Yeah,
And
Royston Vasey, which is also then the name of the village in League of Gentlemen.
Oh,
They
wow.
named it, they called it Royston Vasey after him.
Oh.
No, that's brilliant.
Just Google that. I didn't know
this,
that.
no, this is my insulin pump.
Here's-
Sorry,
here-
I'm just giving myself some insulin. That's not what
Here's a piece of useless information. Engelbert Humperdinck,
Oh, yeah.
spelled backwards, is Nicolette Tremblebum. That's what I tell you.
Thank you. Engelbert Humperdinck was a very famous composer, music composer.
Did you
That was
see
his
that?
real name, yeah, and
Oh,
that's
really?
why
I
Engelbert
didn't know
Humperdinck called himself Engelbert
I
Humperdinck.
never knew
He wrote an opera called Hansel and Gretel, one of the most famous
Oh, Engelbert
operas.
Humperdinck was
Engelbert
that?
Humperdinck. He's a
I never
serious
knew that.
composer, yeah.
I never knew that.
Presumably German, I think, or Austrian.
Let's hope so.
No, and he was his real name was Engelbert Humperdinck. He wrote the opera Hansel and Gretel. Presumably wrote a few others as well.
I hope he
Very,
wasn't
very
from
famous.
Southend.
But that's why Engelbert Humperdinck, whose real name is what? Can you remember?
Jerry Dorsey? No, Jerry.
No, that's
No.
might be Jerry Corbyn. Oh, we're going to have to Google like this.
Whoever.
Like John
Please help us
Wayne.
out.
John Wayne. What was he called?
Shirley.
Shirley.
Shirley
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Because Shirley was an acceptable name for men.
Yeah.
Hasn't been
It still
years.
is. You can call it.
Now I met Frankie Lane years ago, who was best friends with John Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
Just thought I'd throw
Really,
that in.
best friends with John Wayne. That's
Yeah.
quite something, isn't
Yeah,
Your book is called Name Dropper, isn't it?
I believe so. You can't buy it anymore, but you can get it for £1 on eBay.
it? But you can.
Look, we're out of time, you two. Oh, I wish we'd just keep you on
This
set
is just an
permanently.
education. I've
Just
learned so
brilliant. Brilliant. Look, we've got lots more coming up for you in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere.